Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dive Bomb F1 Season 7. We are back for the seventh time. It is 2026, and we have got 15 cars out on track at Japan. The first time in Dive Bomb history that Suzuka will be the opening round. It's currently Lewis Craig on provisional pole with a 45.5 in the heavy rain conditions. It is soon going to dry up, we believe. We've been told by the drivers and the teams that it is expected to dry, but it's Scottish Goat finishing his lap, and it's a front row grid slot provisionally for him. Not quite enough to challenge Lewis. He seems to have set the pace early doors, but it's the top 15, bottom 10, bottom 5, sorry, still to set a lap. But Lewis Craig leads the way. Provisional pole. Acorn got up into third place. Jess Ball, she is on the intermediates, up in fourth. She's currently on a lap, I am assuming. We'll see what her split time is. She's actually not running anything, so I imagine she's not. Chris has popped himself up into sixth on the inters. Alistair up into second now as well. Daniel Piviona, he's made the switch from Ferrari to Aston Martin to join with Lewis Craig. That is going to be a strong team in the constructors if Daniel can have a run of form like he did at the end of last season. Daniel round that final corner, he'll go now, and it's up onto the second row of the grid. That's a good lap from Daniel. Tony, he was up in P2 for the early phases of the session. We'll keep an eye on that. He looks pretty quick in the wet conditions. And we have a quick format change this season. Obviously, no risk races this season. No risk races. That's where the driver started at the back and they scored double points. That's not going to be happening in season 7. So we have the short qualifying, 8 minutes to go of that, plus the 35% race of Japan to follow. Then the drivers who don't know what race 2 of the night is going to be yet. They are unaware of what the second track of the night is. As you see, Jenga Boy in that lovely pink and white V-carb in the first sector, 2 race wins. Jenga Boy obviously didn't complete last season. He wants to make amends for that. And then someone of his pace and calibre, you'd imagine he'll be up there in the championship fight. We're back to the format. The short qualifying, 35% race. No qualifying for the second race, which is a mystery track. The drivers that finish in the top 14, they have to finish. They will start in reverse order for the 25% race with no safety car. So, if you're Kaya, Dark Shadow, you finish 14th and you actually finish all the laps, you're going to start on pole position for the second race. So, Lewis at the moment on pole might win in Japan. He'll start 14th. At worst, he'll start 14th for the following race with no qualifying. We're just under 8 minutes now. That is the format change. It will be confusing for the opening few weeks, but and there will be a 5-minute break between the races. But we'll keep you updated on who will be where for the next race, and we will at the end of qualifying. Once I run through the grid, we will get the tracks selected. So there's 13 tracks available between now and the end of the season. They can only be selected once. They're not on the calendar, so the same race can't be repeated. And well, it's going to be entertaining. Drivers have no idea. They need setups for all tracks. Can't practice Jenga Boy now. What is his lap time be? It's pole position provisionally on the intermediates, and that will suggest that everyone needs to change their tyres now. Alistair Bain, he's not improving. Is anyone else improving? Scottish Scott's invalidated. Hijab, he's just joined the league. Welcome to him. Jenga Boy's teammate. First appearance in the league. The only rookie on the grid this season at the moment. He's in 7th place. That's a good lap time from him on the full wet conditioned tyres. Baza up in the top 10. Mr. Dive Bomb F1 himself. He will, if he completes all the races at the beginning of the season, breach 100 Grand Prix starts in Dive Bomb. Kaya, not set a lap time yet. We'll stick with him as he's the furthest car round. Jordan has just popped himself up into the front row of the grid as well. The championship favourite for last season wasn't able to get close in the end. He was in the title fight going into the final week, but it just wasn't enough. CJH, who is here tonight, just managed to pip his way. It was an easy championship come the final week for CJ, but it was stressful through the first 9 weeks of the season. Kaya, though, on the run up now to 130R in the Williams, the brand new Williams that he will be driving this season. Obviously in the Mercedes with Darky last season, got the switch to Williams as Alistair, and Gamer James got the promotion up to the Merc. Darky and Tony got the promotion up to the Ferrari, and then Darky was actually questioned by the dive bomb media before this race yesterday. Had some questions about the pressure of the Scuderia come with, and Kaya up into 12th, not too bad from him. And Darky invalidates this lap, and then 5 minutes to go, maybe feeling that pressure, but he said he'd be able to handle it, and he's not expecting a championship fight this season, but there's no pressure according to the Dutchman in that cockpit being in that red car. And we'll hope that's true. We want Darky up at the front, and we want him winning races. Only ever wins races if he started on pole in history. And CJH now, your defending champion of Dive Bomb F1, Season 6 champion, coming out onto circuit now, his first lap of Season 7. This is the defence. Nobody has ever defended the Dive Bomb F1 championship. 6 seasons, 6 champions. Can he be the first to do it? Lewis Craig on provisional pole here. Jenga's invalidated. Jordan's losing time. Everyone else seems to be losing time, so I think it is CJ that's going to be next to give it a go. And well, with just over 4 minutes and final runs to come, we were told it was going to dry up in this session. It doesn't look like it is going to be dry compound tyres. It looks like it's going to be intermediates until the end, unless there's absolutely craziness around Suzuka, which we've seen before. But it looks very damp and wet. CJ though, getting ready to. He got the move to McLaren. That's what he wanted. He was rumoured to be joining Alpine, and he wasn't too happy with that. But he got the move to McLaren. A bit of an Oscar Piastri situation, with the Lando Norris helmet, with the chrome as well, looking fantastic. And it's all about getting the perfect lap time. He's probably only going to get one shot at it, CJ. The favourite to win the championship this season. 2 to 1 to be your DBF1 Season 7 champion. Lewis Craig close behind, 3 to 1. But this man was inevitable last season. Every week he just looked spectacular, bar the opening rounds. And with just over 3 minutes to go, CJ's going to start his only run in Japan qualifying in the wet conditions. What can the defending champion, the new McLaren driver, do? We've only had one McLaren champion in the past, and that was the Matter back in Season 2, all the way back on F1 2019. CJH is going to want to make that a second time, and the only two-time champion. Through the S's will go. He uses the curb in the wet, slick conditions. Very brave and trusting the car and the downforce, but you'd imagine CJ would have put a lot of practice into that downforce on that setup. And Jordan on provisional pole now, 5/10 of a second ahead of Lewis. That will be Jordan's possibly final run, unless he has a bit of battery he can use, and he'll need to get going if he wants to get another run in. CJ though, it's been a bit shaky. It's been quick, but a bit shaky through the traction zones at some corners, and now into the hairpin. He'll swoop round on the left hand, avoids the curb, using what dry line there is to get the accelerator down to the floor of that McLaren's cockpit, and now down to come the hill to come back up and in to Spoon Corner. He'll go in a few meters, brakes as late as he can in the wet conditions, using the curb. CJ has been so brave on this lap, but is it going to be enough to mount a challenge to the front row of the grid? He's only had one lap on these conditions, whereas others have had 3 or 4. And on the inters, you prefer really to run high fuel and do consistent laps, and you can improve. But it's purple through Sector 2. Is the defending champion, last season's champion, going to stick it on provisional pole with just under 90 seconds to go in the session? This would be a fantastic way to begin his Season 7 defence. And it is provisional pole for CJH. What a lap time that was. And I believe Daniel has just stuck it into 4th place and is on a lap here. Daniel P. on a lap. I think there's others further ahead on laps, is there? Scottish Go and Chris Johnson beginning their laps. Gamer James not improving. Alistair has invalidated. He's invalidated his lap. Will he get one more run? He should, yeah. Alistair will get another run at it. James has just begun his lap. I think it is Daniel. He's improving. Just about. It might be enough to knock him onto the second row of the grid next to his teammate. if Scottish Goat doesn't improve, that is. Here comes Daniel now. Runner up in season 5, top 5 finish in season 6. It's only 5th place, he lost time. Scottish Goat's on the gravel. Jordan might be the only one left that can do it other than Jenga Boy. Lewis Craig on an out lap 2. Is anyone else on lap times? I think Jordan is the furthest one round that can mount a serious challenge to pole position here. We'll stick with Jordan as he uses hot lap, coming round now through the Degnas, through the hairpin. And this is it. He's got 2 straights to go, plus the big chicane at the end of the straight of 130R. Jordan, this is it to set himself on provisional pole, beat CJH, lay down the marker that he is here to win the Drivers' Championship. He won the Constructors' Championship in Season 5 with Tony. He wants the next step. He wants the next pot of glory and the pot of prize money. That is winning the Drivers' Championship. Darky will start no better than 16th. The Ferrari struggling. Chris Johnson, I think, is coming round, plus the 2 Mercedes. Can Alistair stick it on pole? We're watching Jordan coming round the final corner now. Chris Johnson in 7th. Alistair only manages 6th place in the wet conditions. He's beaten by his teammate James up into 6th, and Jordan's on provisional pole. Lewis Craig is a second up. Daniel P. Wheelnut 5.5 tenths up round the final corner, but Jenga Boy is a 1.1 up as well. Scottish Goat up into 4th place. Will that be knocked off by Daniel? Yes, Daniel up into 4th. Acorn in 6th there at the end. James in 7th. Alistair 8th. Disappointing for Alistair Bain behind his teammate and behind Acorn. Jess has only managed 10th, I've noticed there. Jenga Boy only 9th. The man that won 2 Grand Prix last season and one of the favourites to be champion. But now it's down to the Scotsman, the man that ran CJ Close, and he's taken pole position by over 1 second. What a lap time that is from Lewis Craig. And no qualifying points this season, so it's only going to be pole in the statistics. 1.2 seconds to Jordan. What a lap time that is from Lewis. Setting the marker down early. Jordan in 2nd. Not surprising at all. He's very quick. CJ only in 3rd. Only got 1 lap time. Might be down to that. Daniel with a good qualifying. Scottish Goat in 5th. A good qualifying for him. Acorn in 6th. Fantastic on his debut in that Red Bull. Gamer James. What a lap time that is. 7th place. He's improved every race and every season he's done with us here at Dive Bomb. Fantastic from James to be in 7th, and he beat his teammate Alistair Bain. And no disrespect to Gamer James, but that might be the shock of the session there. Alistair in 8th and behind his teammate in the Mercedes. Jenga Boy in 9th, that's a shock to the system, with Jess Ball in 10th as well, also a shock. Tony in 11th, Chris Johnson in 12th, Baza 13th, Dark Shadow Kaya in 14th. Hijab only down in 15th, only set that lap time on the wet, so I don't think that's a representable time of his true pace. Darky, the only one not to set a time, and with the move to the Scuderia, he'll be not happy with that, and then he'll be disappointed, and so will the Tifosi that have made the long trip from Italy all the way over to Suzuka. There won't be many of them, but there'll be plenty of Ferrari flags and caps out there supporting Darky, and of course the driver's not allowed to ready up on the grid. They have to wait until Baza says go, and when Baza says go, we can begin the Grand Prix. No formation lap, it's just straight up into the race. So drivers need to pick their strategies, select their fuel loads, and then be prepared to get racing, because there's no brakes here. A 2-minute warning, but he'll be all happy with that. And well, while we wait for Baza to give the go-ahead, it is time for the wheel spin. So we have 14 tracks on the wheel for race number 2. Drivers, I hope you had your setups for all of these tracks ready to go, because there will be no time for you to leave And we will be going to Barcelona. It'll be the Circuit of Catalunya, Spain, for the second race of the night, as long as Spain isn't on the calendar. I'm pretty sure Spain isn't, and that'd be pretty embarrassing for me if it is. Yeah, no Spain on the calendar. We are going to the Circuit de Barcelona in Catalunya. It will be Spain, 17 laps in Spain coming your way. 25% no safety cars. So that's what the drivers have to look forward to. And we are on the grid. It might have been a bit earlier than expected, so someone might be facing a penalty later on in the night, but we'll get away. And there's a big amount of drive jump starts. So CJH leading the way from Lewis. Daniel managed to sneak up into second, but they have both got drive-through penalties for the jump start. Acorn as well. It's a bit of a mess at the moment, so we'll let the drivers get through the first sector, and so the momentum calms down a bit. Alistair's got damage, I think, there off the back of his teammate. But CJ leads the way from Daniel, then Lewis, then it's Acorn, then it's Scottish Goat, your top five. So Lewis and Jordan have lost out. Jenga Boy's picked up a few places off the beginning, but then we'll let the kind of race calm down through the second sector here, and then we'll kind of pick up from what's all happened. Lewis is going to pass Daniel. I think that might have been synchronised swimming from the Aston, so obviously the drive-through to come for 3 of the top 4. Hijab started 15th place, already up into 8th. He's making the move on Gamer James. Fantastic start from him, taking advantage of the mess at the beginning. And Jenga Boy is now passing Jordan for 7th place. And it looks like the other V-Carb going to try sneak it down the inside. We'll get the tire compounds up in a few moments, and he does. Jordan magged by both Racing Bulls at the beginning there, and Acorn now looking to make the move on Daniel Pibiona up into third. Acorn has some fantastic pace and multiple wins in dive bomb, but just disappointing with that drive through. That's going to cost them a bit of time. Jenga Boy up ahead of Scottish Goat. Now he made the position, and Daniel and Acorn taking that penalty this lap. CJH now 2.2 ahead of Lewis, and Jenga Boy already up into third, so Lewis, we're going to have to look into his mirrors sooner rather than later. That gap 2 seconds. Alistair Bain is disconnected, I believe, from the session. Should be able to get back in. There was plenty of invites around, but if he just gives me a quick message to say he can't get back in, we'll invite him back. Darky as well, up into 9th, so a good start for the people further back. And yeah, it does look like Alistair's disconnected from the session there. Scottish Goat already with the first 3-second time penalty of the session, under pressure from the second of 2 Racing Bulls. Darky's made a move on James. James back up the inside though, makes the move on him. What a move that is from the Mercedes driver. Newly promoted after being with obviously former dive bomb driver Jake at the McLarens last season. Wasn't the best season for the pair of them in the constructors, and they'll be wanting an improvement this season, will James. Now this time it is Hijab on. Scottish Goat should be able to make the move sooner rather than later with the pace he is showing on those soft compound of tyres compared to the mediums. Jenga Boy on the mediums as well. Lewis Craig started on the softs. Lewis wanting that good launch at the beginning, was caught out by 2 behind him, obviously jumping the start. Anyone else further back going to make a move? Is Darky looking to make a move on James? Not quite. Sorry, Darky's past James. It's Tony. Now the second of the 2 Ferraris looking to put the Mercedes driver under pressure. Kaya struggling. He's got Baza and Chris behind, who are both on the mediums. Daniel P. Whelan and Acorn are battling away there. for 15th place, out of the points from the jump start, and not good for them. Lewis Craig, 3.6. He's losing time very quickly, and he's dropped 2 seconds to CJH since the beginning of the race. And MCJ obviously pushing as hard as he can because he's got that jump start penalty, which is going to be a drive-through, which is going to basically make him stop twice. And Jenga Boy was catching Lewis, is catching Lewis, but he's not losing Scottish Goat or his teammate. They've dropped Jordan ever so slightly, that he's fallen into the clutches of Jessica Ball, who is in the clutches of Darky. Darky, obviously, the most pole positions in DBF1 history, arguably the quickest driver over 1 lap in dive bomb, and Tony now at the inside of Gamer James there. Ferrari versus Mercedes. Ferrari wins at the moment. And there you go, CJ taking that penalty. And if he didn't take it that lap, would have been disqualified. So that is forced his hand. And obviously no restarts. So that's unfortunate for CJH, ruined his opening race. It'll be damage limitation for the 3 of those drivers. So Lewis Craig leads now, has the DRS advantage over Jenga Boy. Jenga Boy 1.1 behind, closing in on that DRS. Scottish Goat ever so close to losing the DRS to Jenga Boy, and a jab in the Racing Bulls behind. They look quick again, the Racing Bulls this season, and he is very, very close to the back of the Haas, the defending constructing champions. Obviously the team at VCarb, the drivers have both moved on to McLaren, but Jenga Boy and Hijab looking like a very quick duo, and if you're wanting to defend your crown, it looks like they've hired the right 2 drivers to do so. The beautiful white Red Bull that Acorn and Jess are running. Up in 6th place, Jess, after starting 10th. Good start to the race. Obviously incidents have helped her out a wee bit, but she's on the back of Jordan and could be looking at double-digit points here if she can make the move. Jenga Boy now in clutches of Lewis Craig. Car 13 versus car 37. Lewis was believing that if he completed the whole of Season 6, he would have been champion. And he's here to complete the whole of Season 7. Can he be champion? With Jenga Boy in the league, believed to be all season now. Is that going to be the kryptonite that Lewis Craig faces this season, or will it be this man? Hijab now up into third on the podium on debut. Darky now ahead of Jess as well. The top of the field here in Dive Bomb F1 is just so quick and close together that it is just so competitive. We don't know who's going to win each race. We don't know who's going to be the champion. And is that a safety car that might have just saved the drivers that did the jump start penalty? They had to go to the drive-through. We're on board with Lewis Craig. Yes, we have a safety car in round 1 of the season. And well, that spices it up. The drivers that had the drive-through penalties will obviously have to stop and change their tyre compounds this lap. But it kind of closes them up. They're not as far behind everyone as they would have originally been with having to stop and having the drive through, so they're just kind of got bad track position now. They don't really have the penalty affecting them in the second phase of the race, and you'd imagine Lewis on the softs, perfect for him to go on either the mediums of the hards. Probably the hards, you'd say. It's going to be a long way to go this early on, but then you probably would have stopped lap 7 or 8, so I'd imagine Lewis, it might be mediums till the end. The likes of Jenga Boy and Scottish Goat Jordan all on the mediums are going to probably go on to the hards, you would imagine, but we'll get the tyres up to keep an eye on it, and we'll watch the first pit stop of the season, which will be Lewis Craig, and we'll watch the Aston boys. We don't watch the Aston pit crew much, so we'll watch them as our kind of one pit stop a race watch, and we'll see how quick they can get Lewis serviced. And the problem that they have is getting him in and out quick enough that they're not affected by anyone else coming in to the pits. He's got a long way down the pit lane, so this might help him actually. In and out quickly for the Aston boys. That is quick and perfect and ahead of Jenga Boy. That's exactly what Lewis Craig needed. The Scuderia now, it's their job. Get Darky in and out on the hard compound tyres, in and out as quick as you like. Get Tony serviced as well, if you possibly can. And that is wonderful work from the Ferrari pit crew to get both of them in and out quickly. Alistair, he's not in the session. He's back in the session now. Disappointing for Alistair, the car not pitting for him. But under safety car conditions, he'll be at the back of the field, but he'll close up and have every opportunity to go here. CJH drops to the back of the field. Daniel and Acorn were already at the back with Chris Johnson as well. Having to double stack Chris, unlucky there. But yeah, Daniel, CJ and Acorn, they would have been in these positions anyway. They just would have been around 17 seconds behind after the pit stop phases. So it kind of helps them out, the safety car. It closes them up. They have to get through the traffic, which is bunched up, so there's possible incidents ahead. But if they can cut through like a hot knife through button and avoid all the drama, they should be able to get some good points here. And for Lewis, obviously this gets Jenga closer to him. It nullifies the advantage Lewis has, but he's on quicker rubber for this phase in the race. Will that pace in the early part of the stint allow Lewis to get far enough ahead that when the hards come into their own, it won't really matter? Baza up in third place on the hards already. He's done 5 laps, not wanting to go mediums to the end. Understandable. Baza good at defending as well. Maybe allows Scottish Goat to get past and then try and hold up the rest of the field. Alistair, you'd assume that he's now in control of his car, would come into the pit lane and box for a lovely set of hard compound tyres. We'll watch him. He's in 6th place at the moment on the mediums, and unless he's expecting a second safety car, maybe he is expecting a second safety car, or he's just doesn't want to be stuck. And obviously with CJ, Daniel and Acorn, it's actually going to be very difficult to get through that field if he's at the back. So Alistair doing something different here, and Chris Johnson into the pit lane. Is that to get onto a set of hard compound tyres? Well, did Chris start on the hards? I believe he did. Go onto the mediums, go back onto the hards. He's running 2 sets of hard compound. No, another set of mediums. Maybe just wanting to get the best life of the tyres possible. And yeah, you'd imagine the safety car will come in this lap. And if you don't know this season, change of format. Short quali, we had Lewis Craig on pole. We have the 35% race with safety cars, as you can see. Perfect example for that. And later on, no qualifying. The top 14 are reversed. So as it stands, Acorn will be on pole for the mystery race that was on the wheel, which was selected. It was Spain. So Spain will be marked off the list for next week now. And 14 becomes 13 with only 9 slots available for race 2. And of course you have to finish the race to be part of the reverse grid. So if only the top 10 finish, Tony would be on pole. Just how it works in Dive Bomb this season. We've removed the risk race, which was introduced for 1 season only, that the drivers seem to have liked. Double points for 1 race of the season. It was a nice new introduction, and the removal of qualifying points for the first time in Dive Bomb history as well, bar season 1. The only bonus point, as the safety car will come in this lap, Lewis Craig basically becomes the safety car. Fastest lap point does remain. That is the only extra point on offer. Yeah, Lewis Craig becomes a safety car now. Everyone will slow up to the pace he wants to go, but when he goes, he cannot stop. Once he goes, he has to go. And he'll leave it, you'd imagine, as late as possibly can, the Aston Martin, to the start-finish line. Give Jenga Boy the least amount of room to make a move, and that is a wonderful launch from Lewis Craig, and that might put Jenga Boy under pressure from the likes of Baza and Scottish Goat, the 2 Hasses looking to make moves on the V-Carb. A good start from Lewis. Jordan is past Alistair. Alistair's dropped behind Hijab as well. The worn rubber, nothing can help him there at the moment. He's just had such more life taken out of those tyres compared to the rest. Hijab, obviously, who had to stop behind his teammate, lost a couple of positions. He's wanting to gain them again. He was in third pre-pit stops, and with Baza going to stop as well, you'd imagine that there'll be the option there. I think Alistair's had a crash and is down in 15th. Alistair, if he's going to retire, needs to retire in the pit lane. Should go to the end though. He's on for a good starting position in the next race. CJH passing. Oh, he passed Jess, but he went into the gravel, and CJ, the defending champion, is all the way down the order there. And a bit Scottish Goat past his teammate Baza, trying to defend from Darky, doing everything he can. Darky kind of forced him off the road a little bit there. Bit naughty, we'll have to wait and see, but then Darky does get past, and that's a move the Scuderia driver needed to make, and started 16th. He's up into 4th. Fantastic start for Darky in the first half of this race. And now it's Jordan's turn to try and sneak past Baza. Late on the brakes goes Jordan, all elite racing team teammates. And then Baza was saying, screw that, off the road you go. And then down into 7th. He'll get passed by Jess here now for 8th as well. Looks like Hijab going to try and make a move on Baza. Baza might not be able to defend this one as much. He makes his move and then hangs on. Darky now, 4/10 back. Darky could be on for a shout of a win here. Only ever won races on pole. Could he win from 16th at the back end of the field? That would be a fantastic race and a fantastic opening to your Ferrari career. Jenga Boy, 7/10 back now on Lewis Craig. Looks like this is the race for the win. If Darky can get past, though, might be able to put himself in that fight. Daniel Piwilna up into 9th. And Baza battling away with Hijab. Looks like Hijab's won that one, and you'd imagine Jess will be passing quickly soon. But yeah, Daniel and CJ have moved up. Acorn struggling at the moment. He knows what's on offer here. He can get pole position. But is pole position worth it if you only score 1 point in the first race? You want to finish as high as you possibly can in both races. And well, currently Baza leading the way in the Dive Bomb 2 Championship. Everyone else in the Dive Bomb 2 Championship, other than Baza, outside of the top 10 as it stands. Disappointing for them as Chris gets past Gamer James. Lewis is closing, Jenga is closing the gap to Lewis now. Darky has passed Scottish Goat for that podium position. Here comes Baza back on Hijab, but that allows Jess to sneak down the inside. Maybe Jordan can put Baza under pressure. Baza dropping positions like a stone in water. CJH ahead now of Daniel P. Wheelnut. Baza drops another place. Looks like he's going to drop a place to CJH as well in the next few moments. Hopefully not into one of the Degnas. That is extremely dangerous, and CJ, you'd imagine, will know better and does. Jenga Boy now really close to the back of the Aston that leads the way. CJH has passed Baza. You'd imagine Daniel's turn will be up as Tony and Acorn are battling away for position. It looks like Acorn has won out. Friends turned enemies are those two, and Acorn's winning at the moment for 2 points. And Lewis Craig now, 3 attempts that gap to Jenga Boy. He's under pressure here, no DRS to assist him. This is the closest the battle out front has been all race. We come on to the start, finish straight. Lewis Craig makes his defence early. Will he be able to hang on? He goes back to the left-hand side. He cannot move again now. And Jenga Boy cannot close up enough. Lewis has got enough straight line speed at the moment if he can keep that place, that sort of gap at around 5/10 of a second. Jess has passed Hijab there. So Jess started 10th, picked up 5 places up into 5th place. Good opening race for her after a poor qualifying, as Baza and Alistair come into the pits now. And I tell you what, Darky has closed up on these two immensely, and he's carrying Scottish Goat with him. It was 2 seconds, that gap. It is now under a second. Darky is on for a good result here. So is Scottish Goat. He's 4.5 ahead of Jess. That 3 seconds is nullified as it stands. Scottish Goat has the pace to be a race winner in Dive Bomb. I just know it. He is the dark horse for a race win this season, and I believe the Haas driver will get the job done at least one of the 20 circuits available to him. Closing and closing. The gap is closer this time than it was previous lap 1 and 28 seconds ago. Lewis Craig goes defensive. Will he get the gap that he had previously? 3 attempts that gap. No, it's so much closer. Surely we have a new race leader. Lewis goes defensive early. We're on board with Jenga Boy. Surely the race lead for the Visa RB on his return to Dive Bomb, and it is. The race leader on lap 12 has changed. Jenga Boy leads. Lewis Craig now has to save that battery that he was using for defence, turn that into attack, but he needs to hang on from Darky, and he cannot allow Jenga Boy to get away here. This is critical moments in this Grand Prix for Lewis Craig. If he wants to win, he needs to hang on to that DRS. He's 7 tenths of a second. He's dropping back and getting closer to the Ferrari behind. Darky's got a real chance at winning here. Always puts himself down. Oh, and his big lock up there into the hairpin, but he always puts himself down in terms of his natural pace to Jenga Boy, but he has that 1 lap pace, and he has Lewis Craig in his sights. Lewis is out of the DRS now, and there goes Darky round Spoon Corner. What an overtake that is on the flying Scotsman. It was the Dutchman, the dancing Dutchman, danced around the outside of Spoon Corner and is up into P2 from last place on the grid on lap 1. Lewis on pole is the fastest sector 2 of anyone from Darky. He's 1.3 behind Jenga Boy. Does he have the pace now? That Jenga Boy who has clean air, can he close the gap? Can Lewis Craig, who has damage on that front left, as Jenga Boy sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on those hards. Darky cannot move again now. He's done his 2 moves. That is him. But Lewis Craig with the damage, is that what? Affecting him? You'd imagine it will be affecting him slightly, and then we'll have to hear later on the Aston Martin team radio team report what has been affecting Lewis, and then I think there'll be a few points of downforce lost on that Aston Martin with the damaged end plate. That doesn't put to shame what Darky and Jenga Boy are doing here, though. It is 1 second now, 3 tenths. And into the DRS now is Darky. We've got a race in our hands for the win around Suzuka. The Dutchman trying in his first ever race for the Scuderia Ferrari to win it. He's only ever won from pole. He was questioned by the media. Does he have what it takes to be champion? Does he have the ability and the mental strength to be a Ferrari driver? And he's trying to prove that wrong. He's trying to put that to doubt. And he's trying to win here at Suzuka after starting last on the grid. 15 positions gained it will be if he can do this. He's closing that gap. Every single corner and traction zone, it just closes down. The Ferrari driver extremely quick. Lewis is dropping back. Scottish Goat has dropped back as well, but he's not dropping too much to Jess. But Jess is on for a top 4 here, if she can get within 3 seconds. Darky closing 3 tenths now as we start the 14th lap. 6 laps to go, folks. Who is going to win this Grand Prix? Is it going to be Jenga Boy? Is it going to be Darky? Put your thoughts in the comments as Darky clips the grass, and that is the mistakes that he cannot do if he wants to win this race. Jordan is past Jess. And if Jess has dropped a bit back, so I'm not sure if that was a mistake from Jess or if Jordan just overtook her around turn 1, which obviously is a horrible corner to overtake if you're getting overtaken on. CJH up into 7th place ahead of Hijab now. He's closing in on a good result after the drive-through penalty. Hijab as well had the pace for a podium here. He was kind of unlucky with the pit lane and then being stuck in that pack of top-tier drivers. He's not being able to get close to the podium again. Daniel is on for 9th place even with that penalty. Acorn's only managing 11th. Such a good start for him at the race as well. And disappointed he'll be. He's on for a good season, I think, Acorn, if he can get some luck and internet sorted on his side. James and Alistair, it was looking good at the beginning, but not so much now. Baza looked okay as well for moments. But he's on for pole, and I think that'll be his first ever pole and dive bomb. Obviously, the poles will not count towards the pole statistics. As CJ picks up a penalty, that'll drop him 1 place at the moment. But yeah, so pole, there'll only be 10 pole positions up for grabs for the statistics on this season. So if Baza gets pole in 14th, he will not be added to the pole chart. Just don't think it's the right way to do it. We don't think it's fair. We had a talk, me and the admins, and thought it wasn't the best thing to do to add the pole drivers for the second race on, and hopefully the drivers agree with that. Darky, most poles in dive bomb history, one of only 2 drivers to be in double-digit poles over 6 seasons. Him and Lewis Craig are the company. And well, he's only ever won his 5 Grand Prix from pole. He'll be wanting to make that 6 race wins, and if he can do it from last, that would be an incredible statistic. Only ever wins races from first or last, nowhere in between. There's been some drive from Darky. He's been absolutely perfection. He had one moment in the gravel, and as long as there was no drama of him getting there, he should be on, if there's no steers reports, for at least P2, and he's closing and might be on here for the race win. And there's the penalty, there's the mistake he's made, and he's swiped at it, the corner there. He's lost time. He's 1.3 now behind, and the mistake has crept into his game. Too much pressure on for him, as Alistair's in the box, going for maybe the fastest lap. Oh, and just devastating for Dark. We had a race on our hands. We had an opportunity at the win there. And just getting to see that it's not going to come to fruition now. Jenga Boy, surely, with the race in his hands now, picks up the win. Daniel going for the fastest lap and maybe sneakily trying to pick up the pole position or get as close as he possibly can and get the best racing opportunity. With the top 14 reversed, that is something we might see kind of the drivers in 9th or 10th boxing, and at the moment we'll stick with the top 14 reversed and see how it goes. Obviously, rules can be changed if it gets ridiculous, but we don't mind 1 or 2 times it happening. Darky's closing back up now on Jenga, but Darky just has the pace, but it's just the discipline. No lap time set in qualifying. A penalty with 5 laps to go in Suzuka when he's on for at least P2. He's going to drop down. This puts Lewis back into the top 2. Round the chicane he goes. The chicane, DRS enabled. Will close the gap, but we've noticed from the gaps from Jenga and Lewis that it's not close enough to make a move. Jordan now on the road. Sorry, not Jordan. Scottish Goat on the road, looking to get overtaken by Alistair, who's a lapped car. And will he let Alistair go? You'd imagine he would with Alistair on the softs. CJH passes Jess. Can he get past Jordan? That put him up into 5th, and Hijab and Jess battling away through the S's. Jess trying to defend the place, isn't able to do so, and then good driving from the pair of them. And it was Hijab who came out on top at the moment, the only rookie on the grid this season, and he's done a fantastic job up in 7th. He was on the podium fight at moments, and 7th he'd be very happy with, which would be 6th, sorry, once CJ serves his 3 seconds. Darky now so close to the back of Jenga Boy. 2 and a bit laps to go here, and we've got a 5-minute break after this race before we go to Spain to get the grid sorted. And you'll just, if he doesn't win this, and if he doesn't even come second, he'll be so gutted. After starting in last place, P16, he's driven beautifully, almost perfectly, but he's just cost himself any chance of the win, and he's not looking like he's going to overtake Jenga Boy anytime soon over the last 2 to 3 laps. Close, but no cigar for Darky. But a podium after starting 16th in his first race of the season, especially after finishing outside the top 12 in the Drivers' Championship last season, he'll probably take that every day of the week in the early stages of this season. Daniel sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. CJ got ahead of Jordan, but with the time penalty was probably allowed. Tony and Chris Johnson battling away, and it is Tony that comes out on top. And oh, Jordan's in the wall there. Not sure what happened. I didn't see it. I just seen the yellow flag and Jordan drop a few places. That'll save CJ one place, I suppose, on his time penalty. Getting for Jordan was on for a good 5th place. Nothing wrong with 7th, 8th, a couple of points in it, but he would have much preferred a top 5 finish on the opening round of the Dive Bomb F1 season. As Jenga Boy is about to start his final lap of the Japanese Grand Prix DBF1 edition. And there we go. 1 lap to go as Darky takes the lead of the Grand Prix. It is the final lap, one more time around this circuit. Wonderful circuit of Suzuka. We've had so many great championship fights and battles around here as Hijab and Jess battling away. Jess gets ahead this time. Alistair Bain, previous winner. Lewis Craig, previous winner. The Matter, a previous winner. And it looks like it's going to be another race winner around Japan. Darky on the road, but Jenga Boy, barring anything mental, it's going to be Jenga Boy that picks up his 3rd win in his dive bomb career. Did 2 races back in season 4 on F1 23. Did 6 races, picked up 2 wins and 136 points on season 6 on F1 25, and he's back now, and he's looking like he's going to become a 3-time dive bomb race winner and the 4th race winner we've had around Japan. It's been unfortunate for this man. He started in 16th, last place. Round the final corner, Darky's going to go, and on the road, it's going to be Darky that wins it. But it's Jenga Boy who wins on opening night. Darky in 2nd. Lewis Craig will manage a podium. Scottish Goat comes home 4th. CJ in 5th, but he's probably going to drop down at least a place to Jessica Ball. He does. CJ 6th. It's Hijab in 7th. Jordan in 8th. Acorn, good recovery drive to manage 9th. Might have had some damage. Tony will come round to finish in 10th. And that is a Dive Bomb 2 race win for him. Chris Johnson in 11th. Daniel in 12th. Gamer James will come 12th. Sorry, Daniel Pubilnet comes 13th. That puts him on P2 of the grid around Spain. And F1 Baza comes home to start on pole and get 1 point. Alistair Bain was the only other runner, and he came in a wonderful 15th place. Tough race for Alistair. You'd expect better in the next one. And a driver of his caliber obviously won the F2 championship in dive bomb when it was a different tier. Won the DBF1 title as well. Multiple TGP2 champion in the TGP series. It's he's got some resume, Alistair, and you don't expect 15th down the lap to be on it, but it is. And well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 5 minutes for Baza to have a bit of a chill, get the grid ready for the second race of the night. 25%, the top 14 reversed order. I will see you in 5 minutes. So we're back for the second race of the night here in Dive Bomb Season 7, rounds 1 and 2. The first mystery race of the season of 10 to come. It was Spain selected at the end of qualifying of Japan. No qualifying here. Used to be one shot in previous seasons. Nope, it will not. It is the top 14 of the previous race reversed if they finish. So, Baza, whose only race win in Dive Bomb came at Spain, is on pole. Daniel P. should be in second place. Going off my maths, and yeah, it's going to be weird to see what happens and if this is a good idea or if it's not. But something new, something different. Spice up the races, no qualifying points. The only points available are the fastest laps. And well, when we get ready to go, drivers aren't allowed to ready up until Baza gives the go ahead. They need to remember their setup because it's the only time they can do it, and there is no restarts unless there is a lag out issue where more than 10 of the drivers drop out. Going to be interesting. 17 laps, no safety car. Tyre wear pretty bad around Spain historically. It's hard to manage. It's hard to be quick and have that sort of tyre saving ability to go around unless you're Checo Perez. So it's going to be interesting to see. We might see a few hard runners because it's such a long race distance, or we might see a few drivers go medium to soft. That's the drivers just preparing, getting their final warnings from Baza to make sure they've put their setup on. And it'll be pretty disappointing if you've not put your setup on when you've had so much warning. It's literally been the reverse grid, no qualifying since the penultimate race of last season. Baza has given us the go ahead, so we are ready to go racing here around the circuit of Catalonia. We are on the grid. We have 5 legs. It's Baza versus Daniel Pirona off the front row, and away they go in Spain for the first of 17 times. Baza away from Daniel, from Gamer James, and Chris Johnson already up into the podium places ahead of James. McLaren versus Mercedes, and it looks like James around the outside is going to hang on to the position. Wonderful defending from James, but it's not enough. Chris is ahead. CJH in 5th. Good start from him and a good starting position for him, and he is up into top 4 now. He might be in prime position to win this race here. Top 4 already, and you'd imagine his teammate might even move out of his way, and yeah, he does. That was obvious if you've ever seen it, starting on the softs and the mediums as well. That was team orders if you've ever seen it. McLaren doing what they do best, Papaya rules. Gamer James in 5th. The 2 Ferraris in 6th and 7th. That's a good start from Darky because he came 3rd. So he would have been all the way down in 12th. That's a great start from him. Lewis Craig up into 10th, picked up a few places. Acorn and Hijab doing okay at the moment. Jordan and Jess battling away. Alistair's picked up 4 places as he started 15th. So 3 places. Scottish Goats dropped down a few. And Jenga Boy all the way down at the back of the field after starting 14th place. Daniel Buell's had a bad run out of that corner because he's dropped from 2nd all the way to 5th and may even drop more as the Ferraris are trying to make moves. Hijab trying to make moves as well. Beck and Lewis Craig battling away as well. Softs versus mediums, and then Lewis has got this unfortunate part of this race now where he needs to be involved in the midfield fight to get up and try and close that gap to CJH, and Lewis doesn't like Spain traditionally anyway. Was very quick though around here in the TGP2 season. In F1 24 he was ahead of Alistair, and disconnected was probably the only reason Alistair won that race in all honesty. But Lewis now has work to do to win a race on opening night, and he's got a tough task at hand, but plenty of experience and knowledge to get the job done. Lewis and Acorn still battling away. They're making contact, but it's not enough to kind of throw each other off the scent of making a move, and the soft tyres are just giving that Red Bull the grip it needs to make sure Lewis Craig is still looking at the rear view mirror of that car. And well, Acorn did say before the races began he wanted people to get used to his rear wing, and Lewis is getting used to that now. Baza led both the opening 2 laps, and CJ now into the lead. And this is what happens when a good driver, a top tier driver in the league, has a poor race win. They get a decent start of race 2 and they have that protection. But now he needs to make those softs last as long as he possibly can, does CJH. And he's got Chris Johnson as well as a rear gunner, and if Chris Johnson can get past Baza, they're on for a good result here in the McLarens. Darky now trying to go down the inside of a jab, locks up, needs to have a wee kind of relapse moment there and get back into the groove as his teammate might try to overtake him. The two Ferraris doing okay, they had a good race win. Darky did at least anyway, and Tony's needing a good race too. He obviously picked up the win in Dive Bomb 2 in the previous race, but with the reverse grids that's going to be more difficult. He needs to make some overtakes now, because technically he'll be starting last of the race 2 drivers, and Lewis Craig's still behind Acorn on this lap, and Alistair's now past Scottish Goat. And that's him up into 12th, and he's got Jess Akabal up ahead. Can he make the move on her? You'll have to wait and see. As we begin lap number 4, here comes Baza. Is he close enough to making a move on CJH? CJH goes defensive, worrying about Baza in the rear view mirror there, and it looks like Baza's going to have to set up for second still. Hijab passed by Darky. James as well was passed by Darky, and he might be getting passed here by Tony. They're side by side though, and James will fight it as much as he can. Fantastic defence in driving from James, but it's not enough to hold on to the position. And now with Acorn behind, Lewis Craig's dropped all the way down to 15th. Is he at a moment? Yeah, I think Lewis has had a moment trying to overtake Acorn. Maybe got a bit desperate, maybe Acorn did some shoving, and now it's Alistair on Acorn's trail. And Alistair on the soft, since he started at the back of the field. Can he get past? Needs some help from his teammate. Acorn down the inside. That is a late lunge. But can James do the switchback and get back ahead? No. Wonderful move. It was very late on the brakes from Acorn. Respect shown by James. He expected the move to be made. And now you'd imagine the tyre difference and the speed difference. You'd imagine that this is time for the Mercedes drivers to swap places. Tony trying his best as Chris and Baza, are battling away at turn 1 now. Chris off circuit has to give the position up, and he does. The moment you escape the 2 white lines that keep the road, that you have to give up the position. That's in Dive Bomb this season will be stewarded more, the overtaking off track. If the game doesn't give you a penalty for it, you'll certainly get one from the stewards. If it's noticed, it doesn't even have to be reported. If we see it on the stream like that, it can be sent to the stewards. And Chris did the right thing, giving the place up to Baza there. And he's just got to refocus as Baza goes wide. And there you go, he's in the position anyway. So it's McLaren 1-2 at the moment. And it is on merit. And he's not pulling away CJH, but maybe this is it. Can CJH keep Chris Johnson in that DRS, not be affected by the cars behind, and drag Chris along? Chris has 5 podiums in his Dive Bomb career, never won. And CJ, with the championship battle going to be exciting as it is, he won't be giving Chris the win. But if he can drag Chris along for a P2, Chris will be eternally grateful. But Baza getting past by Darky now, and possibly Hijab as well into turn 1. No, only Darky at the moment gets past. Alistair's had a crash now, and he's all the way down in 16th place. Daniel P. Wheelnut is the only race driver that has stopped. And that is sort of Daniel's kind of philosophy: stop early, go hard to the end. And it always picks him up a few places, but he struggles towards the end. Alistair has decided to retire, which is kind of understandable. Poor night for Alistair, 15th and 16th. He'll want to get back on the wheel and get training for next week. Obviously the season 3 champion of Dive Bomb in the Red Bull faced the likes of Damien Greenbean and Hambo, 2 of the greatest DBF1 drivers that have ever raced on the sticks, and Alistair came out on top when those two had the battle, and if he wants to win the championship in Season 7 and become the only two-time champion, he needs to find some consistency again. He had the consistency towards the end of last season on his return. Can he find that form again? We'll have to wait and see. Baza now under pressure from Hijab, and that looks like Hijab is going to make a done and dusted deal. And Acorn is in the pits now. That's the second pit stop that is officially a pit stop, not for damage. That is a tactical pit stop, the planned pit stop before the race. Not sure what plan of all of the Red Bull plans it would have been. But Acorn stopped now, and that got him ahead of Daniel P. Wheelnut, and that might have been why, or did it? No, it didn't. It was a lap too late. Daniel P. Wheelnut got ahead, and that is news for the drivers. They need to stop now, because Daniel got ahead of Acorn. I thought Red Bull pulled him in just in time, but they did it a lap too late, because Daniel got ahead, and 2-lap tyre difference might not be enough to make the tyre advantage work, and unless it's medium, yeah, it's mediums to hard, isn't it? Yeah, so he will have a quicker tyre deck, but yeah, Deck came out behind Daniel, so anyone behind him, you'd imagine would be behind Deck and Daniel P. Wheelnut now. Baza into the pits, the first of the kind of top 5. Jenga Boy also in the pits, so we'll watch Jenga Boy's pit stop. That lovely pink MV car, but I just love it. I think that should be the livery all season. Same for the Red Bulls, use the white one. That white livery is beautiful. But then we'll watch the pit stop. He'll hold up Baza a little bit, but not too much. Off go the mediums, on go the hard. Lovely pit stop from Racing Bulls, the defending Constructors Champions, and that's one of the reasons why. And one of the reasons why Baza is going to have a big ask to get ahead of Acorn, who got ahead of Daniel P. Wheelnut there on the previous lap, and he's not ahead of Acorn. So the undercut for Acorn has worked a treat, because he was behind Baza, and I think Baza was 5th when he came into the pits. He has to defend the position, but Acorn, he has to hang on, get Baza to try and fight with Daniel P. Wheelnut. And he's managed to hang on to that defence at the moment. So Acorn, Baza and Daniel P. Wheelnut have all stopped. Jenga Boy stopped. Gamer James stopped. Acorn on for a good result here with that undercut. And there you go, the race leader in. CGH has boxed. And what is it going to be for him? I believe it will be mediums now. Yeah, it is. A long way to go to the end, but CJ leads comfortably over Chris, and he got the first call to come in. And he decided to do that Scottish goat, putting the pressure on Jordan. Not enough pressure to make the move though. Someone that is under vast amounts of pressure is Darky. Oh no! Darky has hit Hijab, and Hijab's in the wall. And oh, I think that might be Darky receiving a penalty. Don't want to pass judgment too soon, as obviously we only caught the end of it. But yeah, I think Darky might be in a bit of trouble there. Someone that's loving life is Tony. Tony, he's obviously had people stop in front of him, but he's going quick and good, and he's third at the moment. Jess Ball now ahead of Hijab. You'd imagine that move would get done after the damage and the contact. And Jess now needs to get the foot down and use those mediums where she can. Probably got about 2 laps before the medium runners stop. This is it now. McLaren versus Ferrari. The gap was 2 tenths. Who comes out ahead? Chris Johnson in and service. Darky comes out behind. The job picks up a 10-second time penalty screen in the pit lane. Baza and Acorn battling away at turn 1 here. Wheel banging through the first 2 turns, and Baza now up ahead of Acorn. Obviously Acorn, the Dive Bomb 2 champion last season in the final 10 races. Baza, a Dive Bomb 2 driver this season. Started on pole, Baza. He's dropped a few places with drivers still to pit, of course. But he's on for a good haul of points here. I think he's around about 4th on the road. A net P4. Not on the road, he's 8th on the road, but a net P4 for Baza. With Acorn pushing behind, and he's got a bit of a gap to Daniel P. Wheelnut, who's got Lewis Craig for company. Lewis Craig stopped. Only the top 4 haven't. And that is Tony in now. And Lewis, well, it just shows you how these races can pan out. Daniel P. Wheelnut was 2nd on the grid, and he's 10th. Lewis Craig was 12th, and then Lewis Craig's gotten right on the back of Daniel, and is on course to pass him here. And this is the entertainment that this format will provide, and Lewis Craig now passes his teammate for 10th place, and that is not what the Astons wanted before the night began, but it's what they have to deal with, and they have to try and cut through this traffic and close up the gap. Darky has ended the 1-2 that was the McLarens. So Darky on for 2nd with an asterisk next to his name. And I tell you what, Dark Shadow has absolutely held up CJH here, and that could put Darky right onto the back of him here. And Darky now going to try and keep closing this gap, but CJH is struggling so much to get past, and maybe, just maybe, the DRS is the only thing that will save CJH here from the chasing Dutchman. Darky is so close to a win in Japan, and it just faded away from him, and it might be that this is the time. Chris Johnson is so close as well, and it might be Chris looking to make a move on Darky. Yes, it is. Chris is ahead of Darky now. Can he both get past Kaya? Chris gets past Kaya. No, he doesn't. He ended up making contact, and that caused contact with Darky, but Chris is ahead of Darky for the time being, and that is just what CJH wanted, and to have them both stuck behind Kaya is exactly what the doctor ordered for him. Lewis Craig now past Tony. Darky and Chris battling away. Round the outside goes Darky around turn 6, and that is lovely from Darky to get past Kaya as well. And that's Chris Johnson's turn now to get the move done. Lewis Craig and Tony battling away, with Baza and Acorn also battling away, and it looks like Acorn's won out in that fight. Has Lewis Craig won out in the fight with Tony? Yes, he has for the moment. So Lewis Craig 9th, Acorn 7th. They've won their respective battles, and now Lewis Craig needs to get ahead of Baza and Acorn if he has any chance of catching CJH here. 5 laps to go, massive ask. Very doubtful it's going to happen, but he needs to pick up the most points he can if he's going to mount a serious title challenge this season. I've seen Jenga Boy picked up a time penalty, and he's down in 9th. Jess has boxed and is in 11th. But it's been interesting to see how this format has sort of fallen out. The only non-stopper is Dark Shadow. You've got CJH expected at the front, but he had a bad race in Japan, which is why he had a good grid start position. Darky had a bad starting position, but he's made his way up the field and just had so much pace and might be the championship favourite after tonight. Chris Johnson, fantastic start to the race, and but he was high up the order and not lost many places. Darky is right on the back of CJH here, so we'll watch that. Acorn made up places off the beginning, and Baza has only dropped 5 places even after starting on pole, and that's going to be 4 once Kaya pits. So it's not a crazy loss from Baza. Tony, Jenga Boy, Lewis was obviously starting at the back, but he's not gained crazy places. Daniel's dropped. Jess is around about where she started. Daniel's dropped crazy. Hijab, Scottish Goat, yeah, it's not been that straightforward for those drivers. Is Darky looking to make a move for the lead and potentially the win of the Spanish Grand Prix? Is Darky and Chris are on the soft, which is why they're closing in so much. And there you go, you see the positions. Up 8 for CJ, up 11, down 5 for Baza, up 7, up 3. A few drivers have dropped, but there's not been any sort of crazy changes to what's happened. And it's just crazy to see. I thought the drivers that were quicker at the front would get through eventually. But with 3 and a bit laps to go, there's been 2 standout performances, and that's it really. Jenga Boy's going to drop places once he gets his penalty kicked in, so the 7th is kind of nullified. Lewis will move up to 8th. And for someone of Lewis's calibre, you think Lewis started 12th, in 8th, 4 places gained. Okay, it's not bad, but a win for CJ in 7th place is better than a 2nd and an 8th. It's just the way it is. Darky is so close to CJ, and he's going deep. He locks up. They've made contact, and Darky's round. Oh no, I think that might have just been a racing incident, that one. And that may put the end to the opportunity of a win here for anyone other than CJH. But I tell you what, Chris Johnson, he'll be loving the change of format. He's on for P2. He's got no pressure behind. Deck, who stopped way before him, is on more mediums with 4.1 seconds to catch. Chris Johnson is 1.1 behind his teammate. And having never won a Dive Bomb F1 race, is this it for Chris? Is Papaya Rules on here? We'll get the telemetry up. What is Baza? Sorry, not Baza. CJH has a lot more battery compared to Chris by around about 15 to 20%. Baza's now past Kaya. Kaya needs to come into the pits. Darky's dropped all the way down. He's had a major crash, which is disappointing to see. Thought he could have had a half decent result. But here we go now. The DRS is open on that McLaren. It'll close the gap. Not enough to make a move. But yeah, Chris is just knows what's going to happen here. He's got 2 laps. This might be his best opportunity ever at winning a Dive Bomb F1 race. He really needs to put the pressure on his teammate and take what he can get. Jenga Boy, 10-second time penalty, he's retired from the session. And Lewis Craig's in the pits. Darky's in the, is that damage for Lewis, I wonder? No, maybe just going to go for the fastest lap and steal a point, but then he's dropped 4 places and lost loads of points, so I don't really get that. Only Lewis will be able to tell us. Tony's passed Baz, though he's into the top 4 and on course for 2 DB2 wins in a row. Jess Ball in 6th place. She's still on for a good result here if she can get the job done. And really, this is it really now. 1 lap, 1 tour of the circuit of Barcelona to go. And this is it for Chris Johnson. He might not get an opportunity to win a race again. The reverse grid has worked a treat in this first installment, but there's 9 to go. Will Chris have this opportunity again? He needs to give it everything he's got. Use the battery. Use everything at his disposal that McLaren will give him to mount a challenge to his teammate. It's going to be a 1-2. It's the first 1-2 we've had in a long time in Dive Bomb F1. But it's looking like it's failing away. He's not really pushing, I think. Will CJ be pushing? Not really. I think the McLarens are happy to take this now. They're under no pressure. There's no point of taking any risks. Come the end of the season, no disrespect to Chris Johnson, it's CJH that's going to be in the title fight. But Chris has done himself proud tonight here at Spain. P2 on the road is fantastic. And it's on merit. He deserved it. He's been fantastic. But it's this man who's picked up so many places. And, well, there was just no one touching him here at Barcelona. The reverse grid has worked a treat. It's made some spicy action and some new drivers at Pi, but it's this familiar face on the win. It's CJH87. Chris Johnson makes it a 1-2 for the McLaren, and Acorn is on the podium again finally. Tony in 4th with Baza in 5th. What a top 5 that is. Jessica Ball came home in 6th. Jordan in 7th. Scottish Gold 8th. Daniel P. Wheelnut in 9th place. Hijab drops to 10th of his penalty. Dark Shadow, who did his pit stop late in the day, very near the end, is going to pick up 11th here based on his time penalty, unless Lewis picks up a place. Lewis will get the fastest lap, I'd imagine. He does, and gets ahead of Kaya. Yeah, I don't understand why Lewis has stopped there, in all honesty. He'll be able to tell us what's happened. And Darky is going to come home for 2 points. And then Gamer James will cross the line in 14th, the last of the finishers, 1 point to him. What an opening night of Dive Bomb that was. It was fantastic. We're never let down. And just like last season, Waste, the defending champion, won in week 1. Wasn't crowned champion at the end of the season. CJH wins on opening night in round 1 the next season after being champion. Will he be the champion though of season 7? History tells us no, but if there's a man that's going to prove the doubters wrong, it is him. And the McLaren team have got a wonderful holiday coming their way on Monday. To just be on the 1-2, it's just phenomenal. Acorn as well on the podium. Finally, after so many races, there was the opportunity in Australia that was taken away from him by Darky, but he's deserved that. Well, CJH1, we went through your order, so we won't go through it again. Jenga Boy and Alistair were the only non-finishers of the night, and it was just a fantastic night of Dive Bomb. It is so great to be back. We've got 9 more weeks of this, folks, and we've got 9 more reverse grid races. Look at that top 5. CJH, Chris Johnson, Acorn, Tony and Baza. Fantastic to see, and the drivers that have been called up to the post-race interviews, the media is back for season 7 after a few seasons out. Chris Johnson will be called up to the media to have a post-race interview, and so will Tony on his debut for Ferrari. So we'll see them on the Twitter and in the Discord. They'll put their answers in, and they will have their press conferences. Press conferences are back, so each driver will do 1 pre-race for the season. Baza and Darky have already done theirs in week 1. That happens on a Tuesday. And 2 drivers after every race will be selected for post-race interviews to be done on the Discord and the Twitter. But the post-race isn't mandatory. As in, you have to do it if you're called, but you might not get called throughout the season. It's based on performances, so there's the opportunity you don't have to do it. If you get called up and have a good night like Chris and Tony have, you do. So we'll see Chris and Tony's results to their questions later on the Twitter Sports DBTV. Well, thank you very much for watching the 7th season opener that Dive Bomb F1 had. It's been a 6-year journey coming on to 7 years. It's going to be absolutely crazy come April when it's 7 years since the first ever season of Dive Bomb F1. But yeah, I have been Jack Craig 28, and we will see you next week for Dive Bomb F1.